This is George Dionne from Metal Express Radio, and I'm here with Sean Peck of the band Death Dealer. Ask everybody the same question in the beginning. If I knew absolutely nothing about Death Dealer, how would you describe the band's music to me?
The band's music is heavily based in, traditional classic heavy metal, but it touches on all the other aspects, like lots of speed, lots of thrash. And then there'll be, hard rock songs you could find on a Motley Crue album, with it within all of it. But yet, my influences are the, Iron Maidens and Judas Priest. And I like to call it, Judas Priest on steroids at some point. So that's how I would classify it.
Death Dealer is made up of a bunch of veteran musicians on the scene: Stu Marshall, Ross the Boss, Steve Bologna, Mike LaPond. How did you get all these guys together for this project?
A veteran is a nice way of saying old dudes. That's like a nice way. Veterans of the scene. The story how the band started is really funny because I had done some songs with Stu Marshall on his Empires of Eden albums, which he had like Udo, and he would just get all these singers to sing a song. And he was a fan of my band Cage, and then I sang a song. And of course, the song I did was the best song on the record. I mean, that goes without saying. And we kind of hit it off, even though he's in Australia, just talking on Skype and stuff. And so we kind of hit it off, and he always wanted to. We were a good collaborating team on just a few songs that we'd worked on, and he always wanted to like start a band. I'm like, I don't need any other bands. Like, I get everything I need out of Cage. And he's like, hey man, then that time passed. He goes, hey, let's start a band called Death Dealer. I'm like, there's no way we can get that band name. Like, that's too good of a band name to be available. And it was available. There was an old Canadian band called that did a couple albums, but they're like defunct. So I trademarked that, eventually I trademarked the name, so we were just kind of like drinking one night on Skype and just kind of like joking, like, okay, well, what's the guitar player we could want? And we go, well, let's get KK Downing. And like, nah, he would never join two scrubs like us. And then he's like, well, what about Ross the Boss? Because he was a huge Manowar fan. And I'm like, I talked to Ross online. Let me call him. So I type him up like, before I got Ross, we talked like drummer. Let's get Rhino from Manowar. I call up Rhino. He's like, yeah, I'll do it. Then we're like, well, what bass player can we get that anyone would give a shit about? Like, let's get the guy from Halford, who was also in Lizzie Borden, Mike Davis. We were just hanging out with him. We call up Mike, like, I'll do it. And so then we called Ross and go, hey, we got, Mike Davis, Rhino, who you were in Manowar with, who was in Manowar, and well, and me and this guy, guitar player, Stu Marshall. And Ross is like, okay, I'm in. So like, it happened within like an hour. Like we were just drunk, like messaging people. And we were just like, okay, we got this band called Death Dealer. So now we got to write some songs. And, me, Stu, and Ross put together like a hell of a first album, Warm Out, killer debut record. And we did a few shows in, on the West Coast in Mexico just to get our feet wet. And then like a little bit later, we ended up scoring this insane opportunity to open for the Metal All-Star 10 arena show, just like ginormous arenas, direct support in front of 10,000 people a night, none of which had any clue who Death Dealer was, but we went out there and just destroyed it, and people freaked out. And so we knew we had a good thing going. And now here we are, 3 albums in, and and talking about an EP that we pulled out of our ass.
So speaking of the EP you pulled out of your ass, it's called Fuel Injected Suicide Machine. It came out on Steel Cartel Records recently. Sort of has a theme to it, sort of a homage to Mad Max.
Right.
How did that kind of play into the theme of the album?
Well, like I keep saying, when we wrote the song on their Blood for Gasoline, we didn't know that it was going to be like a true story, like a depiction of real events today, because gas prices are so high. this whole Mad Max reality. The meme going around is like, forget trying to marry a doctor or a lawyer. You need to marry this guy. And it shows Mel Gibson, dressed as Mad Max carrying gasoline cans, fires burning in the background. So Stu had the idea, of that's a line in the Mad Max movie. And I said, okay, that's cool. And then we put that song together, and then we put Blood for Gasoline together. And the other song's about Genghis Khan. The other one's called Freedom's Not a Crime, which is kind of a metaphorical, every rock band needs a good, freedom rebellion song in there. Rock and roll is about rebellion. So, and then we just, dressed it as a dystopian future Mad Max thing. One of the artists that I work with a lot, who does the Dio stuff, good friend of mine, to do the cover. And it's, then the lyric video we have for Fuel Injected Suicide Machine is incredible. The guy did an amazing job on that lyric video. It's like a Mad Max movie in itself. And it's just, it's good to have a theme. It's not a concept. There's an intro, that where there's a car pulling up and you hear the desert wind blow, and there's a guy, on the ground about to die, and the Mad Max character puts him out of his misery after a little word exchange between the two. It's cool, man. Everyone, and the reviews on the EP are been fantastic. Normally, I've never put out an EP before. Normally, you put out an EP and no one gives a shit. But this one, people are really digging, and we're having fun with it because we're getting lots of press. And the two, Blood for Gasoline and Fuel Injected Suicide Machine, are just speed metal crashing breakers, and then you've got really cool headbangers with the other two.
Cartel Records is your label, and kind of the thing that you have going on with that label is you only release a limited amount of songs from an album for streaming, and the rest is hard copy. So why don't you get into why you do it that way?
I mean, I'm David versus Goliath. I know Spotify will never have a clue who I am or what I stand for, but it's, Ross and I toured the Spotify headquarters in 2014 in Sweden. Our label back then was a big tech guy. He knew all those dudes. So we got to go inside the building and, see, not many people get to do that, and see the opulent waste of cash going on inside that place. This is the cafeteria where everyone just eats for free, no matter what, whenever. Here's the gaming center that's as big as a Walmart, 50,000 square feet of computer stations where when our workers get stressed, they can go and, relieve some steam and play some video games for a while. And, everyone's just sitting around doing nothing. And, Spotify made a deal with the devil. They got all these big record labels that said, hey, we'll give you stock if you give us this crazy royalty payout system. And now the stock, for Universal Records, is worth billions. And that stock, no one, on their roster gets a penny of that stock. They just get their little trickle down 4/1000ths of a cent, maybe a portion of that. And to me, it's just, there was a music industry before streaming. I know it's super convenient to be able to push a button and hear any song in the world at any time. And that's great for people that, that want to consume music. But now music is just looked at as it's free. And you work all this time, put all this money and effort into making a record and the promotion, and it comes out on Friday and it's just free for everybody. And that just seems insane to me. Physical product sales are up. CD players, the actual CD player sales are way up. CD sales are up. Vinyl is up. So luckily in the heavy metal world, people like to have the physical product, and that's why we do all the different packaging and the bundles that we do. We have all these pre-order packages, and then we've taken an idea from the comic book industry where now on the vinyl we don't just do this is the red color, this is the blue color. we do an actual variant cover art. There's a limited amount that have a different cover art that makes it collectible. They're 1 in 5. For every 5 regular ones, there's only one of those. So we're trying to innovate in the physical product, and luckily the fans and the media have supported us with that. They're like, that's cool. And we do a music video. That song's on Spotify. You want to hear a piece of the album, there it is. If you hear it and you like it, we believe it's worth your $10 to pick up, some version of the record and support heavy metal, support the artist. And tough shit, Spotify. People are like, I can't find it on Spotify. Like, it's not going to be on Spotify ever. You ever want to hear this, you got to support it and buy it. And luckily, it's kind of been working for us. People, our physical sales are up on all the products that we release. We have a solid base of supporters that buy the stuff. And then when we go, when we go on tour and we have the CDs and the vinyls at the merch table, people buy the shit out of it because they haven't heard it,
I think you go above and beyond with the way that you package everything, as far as the variant covers and the variant album colors and different configurations. You certainly give people a lot to choose from, and a
lot of value too.
You put a lot into the artwork, I think, and your cover artist is Mark Sasso. How did you come to get him involved?
Well, Mark and I have been friends for a long time now, so we're like, we can't call each other very much because like we'll be on the phone for hours going, dude, did you see the next episode? I mean, we're like talking all that nerd stuff. But he did the Dio, when he did the Killing the Dragon album cover for Dio, my manager's like, dude, we should get this guy. And somehow I started talking to him. Now he's done, every Cage album cover. He's done some Death Dealer album covers. He just did the 3 Tremors album covers. And I kind of rotate between him and Dusan Markovic, which is a guy in Croatia who's another amazing guy. I think I'll put their artwork against any cover art guys in heavy metal right now. They're the top. And comic books. I mean, like I said, I'm deep in the comic book game right now, and I see a lot of artists, and these guys are, I think, second to none. So Mark and I became friends, and like I said, he's done a ton of work. And this one, I actually really sketched out the whole scene for him. This is one of the ones where he took like my scene, like literally, and just went right off that instead of, bastardizing it. We're always arguing like, dude, his arm needs to be up higher. The tits aren't big enough. I need bigger tits. We're always arguing about how big the tits should be on the women in our covers.
The bigger, the better.
Yeah. I mean,
it's going to sell that way.
Yeah.
With everybody involved in multiple bands, are you guys able to tour in some manner this year?
Probably not this year. We were just talking about that on another interview. So for Death Dealer, the 4th album is already done. The full-length 4th out coming up after the EP, completely the artwork done, album done. That one could be the best one we ever. It's Stu, the guitar player, can't contain himself. He's like, dude, he's so in love with his next one coming up. And then the 5th, these songs from the EP, when management said, why don't you do an EP? We took these 4 songs from the 5th Death Dealer album. That's like the 5th Death Dealer album literally has like 20 songs that we're like finishing up, changing. So I mean, the 4th ones are the EPs here, 4th one done, 5th one loaded with material. So we took 4 songs out of the 5th one to make this EP, and you hear how good these songs are. I mean, that if you can imagine if we can just grab 4 random tracks off the 5th album and put them on the EP. There's so much. I don't want to toot my own horn, but I write heavy metal for my own satisfaction. If I get the hair on my arm standing up on a song, I'm like, you know what? There's a high probability the other people are going to like it too. And so that's always served me well. And I listen to my own songs, because it just I love the ripping heavy metal, and recently I've been going back. I just recorded another Death Dealer song like 2 nights ago for who album 6. Who knows? But Stu and Ross just keep like throwing riffs at me, and I throw riffs at them, and we have tons of material, and it's Death Dealer as far as the eye can see. But 2023 will most likely assemble the unit and do a tour of some sort, because we hardly played any songs off the second album. We haven't played any songs off the third album live. And then we have the EP and the fourth album. I mean, it's like how we're going to pick a set list. I have no freaking idea.
So is the new album tentatively due for release at the end of this year?
I think there's a possibility of that. I'm thinking early 2023. But it's, I dig it, man. It's good. And the cover artwork, Dusan Markovic did this one, and it's over the top, and there's lots of tits on the cover of this one. So
is that what it's called? Tits?
Spoiler alert. Yeah. Tits lots and blood, something.
Death Dealer, lots of tits. That's the name of the album. Are you doing anything still with Cage?
Yeah, we're Cage is the band that backs up the Three Tremors too. We have a new album I just went through all those songs a couple nights ago, that we probably have 17, 18 songs, and we're still writing a few more. Just to, we could release a double album easily, but we're still in the some of the guys are, the main guitar player, he's out of town, and so we're kind of a little scattered right now. But the thing about Cage is, that's a band that all lives in San Diego. We can play together. It's a different dynamic than Death Dealer, where everyone's spread out, or any of my other bands. That's the good thing about having Cage, is the backing for the Three Tremors, because the band can rehearse, complete tight unit. We just meet up with Harry and Tim, and it goes. But our drummer Sean Elge, recently got the KK's Priest gig. I don't know if you knew that. So we're kind of waiting to see what that KK's Priest does, when they're going to play. That will dictate what happens, with Cage playing live and the Three Tremors. We do have some backup guys, though. We have some ex-Cage members that will probably come in and fill the spots. If we need a guitar player, we need a drummer to do something. But yeah, there's going to be a new album. I mean, it's like I said, we have tons of material for it. So basically these Three Tremors albums we've done have been Cage albums since we wrote them. But, people are like, why haven't you released an album? Like, dude, we have released albums, but there's 2 other singers. So that a lot of people waiting for a new Cage record, which is cool. Every time I go out and play with the Tremors or whoever, they're always, when's Cage, when's Cage. So it's good to know, after, playing since 1992 in Cage, that we have some market penetration and some fans that are still digging what we do and looking forward to something new.
You recently finished a tour with the Three Tremors. That was kind of like your post-COVID first tour. Kind of what was that like, getting back to the stage and performing live after being off the road for so long?
Well, I was just talking about this again. We were on tour late February 2020. So we were one of the last bands like out there hammering it when everything shut down. We were on Eddie Trunk's show going, no matter what, we will be stepping over bodies in the streets. We are playing. We are not canceling, no matter what. And then like 2 days later, canceled. We're like, yeah, we had to cancel. So we were one of the last bands out there touring. And then we were one of the first bands back, in just November, before Omicron started spiking off. So we probably had the least lag in between touring that, anybody had. I played a couple local shows. I did a show with Warrior out here. And I think we did a Cage show or two, local stuff when there was a window. But the turnouts were really good. I was really excited to see, and we had kind of had to like release I was going to release the Tremors album in like 2023 or something. And then when we realized KK's Priest was going to be not doing anything, we like, okay, boom, like there was a window. So we, crammed it in. And the turnout was great. You know, that album got really good reviews at the Guardians of the Void. The media tripped out on the first album. They're just like, it was too much. We cannot handle this. This is much too much. This is too over the top. I'm like, that's what heavy metal is supposed to be. So this one, not intentionally, but there was more mid-tempo songs, and people were able to deal with it easier. I don't know. And the tour sold a ton of merch, sold out of the, we didn't have vinyl. We had the old vinyl. We're still waiting. Supply chain, like we won't get the 3 Tremors vinyls for like another 6 months or something. It's insane. But sold out of the CDs, everything that we brought. We had to reprint shirts in the middle of the tour, which never happened to me before. And people came out, and it was cool. It was, everyone got sick except me, which was, I normally get sick every tour. So for me not to get sick on this tour, like everyone kind of had a cold. They could have had COVID. We didn't know. We're like, you know what? What are we going to, why are we going to get tested? You're going to trip people out, but not like crazy, sniffles or, nothing. No one had like major problems. So it could have been just a regular cold, but first one Ripper got it, and then somebody else, was sick, and we're like, hey man, we're gonna just keep going. If we're, you're a little bit sick, you got a cold. That's just like every tour, and we did well, and the people fucking were happy, man. They were happy to get out, and that 3 Tremors show is incredible. You got to check it out sometime. Came to a show, but it's a one of a kind thing with the 3 of us up there, just destroying it.
Yeah, the album's fantastic. I talked to Ripper about it.
Oh, thanks, man.
A few months back. It was great.
Yeah, I dig that record. There's a lot of good songs on there.
So you got Cage, you got Death Dealer's new EP, you got 3 Tremors out there. Do you have anything else on your plate? Can you fit anything else on your plate?
Yes, I have something huge. One thing I hate when you do when there's interviews with guys for metal, they're like, it's a secret and I can't talk about it. But this is a secret and I can't talk about it. But it is definitely in the hierarchy lineage of the Denner Sherman world and the King Diamond world. And I've been recording stuff for that, and people are with the heavy metal media industry is gonna freaking explode when some of this stuff gets out. But so that's kind of there's a really cool another band that's coming online. It's been slow in the making, but it's like definitely rolling down the tracks now. And then the guys from Warrior, we did a Warrior show, which I love. I really miss playing those songs. They're really fun to perform. And we're talking about doing a couple shows, because they're all here in LA pretty much. We had Mike Davis, who was the old Death Dealer bass player, actually play, because the bass player for Warrior died. Rob Farr, really well-known local guy that everybody loved, like random out of the blue, real shocked to everybody. So there was a tribute show for him in LA, and Warrior played, and that was getting together and playing with those guys. I haven't played with them since 2014. I did 2 shows with them, and they're originally everyone wants the original singer, which is not completely understandable, but he doesn't want to fuck with it, and I'm way better anyway. So what the fuck?
I hate that stuff that you got to have the original guys. I mean, that's just, and then I think it's a lot in the metal bass community. Oh, we're going to have the original 4 guys. We got to do that. But it's, if you've ever been in a band, and I've been in a local band, it's just not possible.
No. And especially like, the Queensryche thing, I was calling to get rid of Jeff Tate like 10 years before anybody. Like I was like flying that flag before it was cool. Like, he hates metal. He doesn't want to sing any of the cool songs that I want to hear. I have no interest in going to see Queensryche and doing The Best Man That I Can and all that crap from all those horrible albums after
Promised Land,
Empire. And so they would, you go see Queensryche and they would play like one song off Rage for Order, and then the rest was all the newer stuff that just sucked. And I saw, Jeff Tate. So when they got Todd LaTorre and they're singing Roads to Madness and stuff, and I was just like, hell yeah, Todd's a friend. But I saw Jeff Tate, he made a pretty good attempt at Queen of the Reich on that Monsters of Rock cruise. And I think he's feeling the heat. He had to go out and at least try it. And it was pretty good. I give it a 7.5.
I saw him during the Tribe tour and it was so boring. I'm like, what songs are these? I don't know these songs at all. I walked out.
Last night I was at a Ghost and Volbeat and Twin Temple, and Twin Temple is that satanic doo-wop band, they got saxophones and organ players and shit. And what I was videotaping it on the video, I go like, oh, they're copying Jeff Tate's gig when the sax guy came out. They're stealing that from Jeff Tate. Saxophones don't belong in metal. I'm sorry. Nothing against saxophones. Saxophone is not metal, period.
What about the whole burlesque thing that Queensryche did there? A little circus show or whatever the hell it was.
Dude, when he was out in his Speedos and the frickin' silk frickin' robe, long time ago, I'll probably get sued for talking this story, but why not? Let's break some news. And it doesn't matter one way or the other, but when I was in Cabo San Lucas at the KNAC party. It was Armored Saint, Alice in Chains before they broke. Forget who else was down there. It was like a full KNAC Cabo takeover. And there was a dude that was with Alice in Chains that was like their tour manager. And he lived in Seattle and the rock scene all of his life. And he was telling me that it was common knowledge that Jeff Tate was gay and that his wife was just like an arranged marriage or something. And I'm like, no way. And then like years later, and he's doing that whole road show. I'm like, maybe that dude way back in the day was telling the truth. So that was just why. And then I remember being backstage at or not backstage, but like an after party after Judas Priest back on it was like the Turbo tour in the heyday of metal, LA, some house party like right by this sports arena. And this lady's gone, Rob Halford's trying to hit on these guys back there. And I was like, how dare you? Like, that is so ridiculous for you to even say that. And then, those years later, but that's the cool thing about the metal community. I mean, we're an advanced society. Like, Halford came out gay and everyone's like, didn't even bat an eye. Like, oh, wow, that's weird. No one even tripped out at all. And that's how metal people are. You can see the weirdest person with the complete opposite beliefs of you, and they're wearing an Iron Maiden shirt. You're like, what's up, man? And you're brothers. And that's why if the world was full of heavy metal people, I wrote a Death Dealer song about it called Every Nation on the Conquered Lands album. Like, if the world was all metal, it would just be such a happier place.
Absolutely. The new EP is Fuel Injected Suicide Machine. Sounds great. I'm anticipating the full-length album, but I'm glad I got a little taste, a little holdover between albums. Yeah. And it sounds like you got a busy schedule ahead, and we'll pay attention for that secret band that you can't talk about.
We want to give you the most popular heavy metal fern in the industry.
Oh,
right here.
Perfect. I got to get
I don't know if you've ever seen any of my metal daily news videos that I do, but I've been doing it's called the Metal Daily News, and it happens about once a month.
Yeah.
And where I go and kind of like a weekend update, Saturday Night Live, where I make fun of the latest metal stories. If you haven't, people out there listening, if you haven't had the pleasure of hearing the Metal Daily News, they're like 7-8 minutes, and I just bag on everybody and make heavy metal jokes about the latest stuff. YouTube.com/Steel Cartel is the channel where you can find it, and do yourself a favor because I'm fucking funny on it. I can promise you that.
Sounds great, Sean.